Hello, Malban here, and I'm going to talk about BadApple. BadApple, as you perhaps might know, is a little video clip by now available on nearly every computer and every video game console that was ever conceived. It's I think it's a free clip. I don't know. Somehow it has gained fame by being available nearly everywhere, and it has been available on the Vectrex for quite a long time now, for 7-8 years. Sprites mod. Anyway, he converted it first and built a so-called extreme cartridge around it, and he also did other stuff like the original Doom player for Vectrex. The project is now continued by Brad Wallach, and it's called Vextreme, but it has always been a challenge to actually build those videos. And I had a setup with which I could do that, but that was on my Mac, and now I'm on Windows, and I was thinking about whether I could do that under Windows or whether I could or not. Anyway, this is my news blog entry, and there's a download here called MovieGen. And this MovieGen is my setup to actually convert video files to Vectrex playable movies. I'm downloading it now just to show you that it just works out of the box, which I'm always a fan of. Download complete. We go to Total Command. This is my download folder. This is a MovieGen directory. I copy it to a temporary folder just to show you that it works out of the box. Little thing, sometimes my virus scanner tells me that one or other of the executables in the MovieGen directories is dangerous. I assure you it is not. You can certainly test it. I tested everything with Virus Total on the internet and with my own virus scanner. Anyway, it's just scared. The virus scanner. I don't know. It's such uncommon programs here that it doesn't know what to do with them. Anyway, once you downloaded the MovieGen, then this is inside the zip file. For now, I'm just starting convert batch.datei with the actual BadApple MP4 file. With Total Command, you can just do that in the command line, but you could do it also from the command interface and just write convert badapple.mp4. Then it just starts. And what you see now here is a batch file running the complete script. This will take a couple of minutes. In this couple of minutes, I'm going to try to talk more about this stuff, but it actually takes a couple of minutes. I hope I can do this online and I'm not getting tired of it. I think I have not measured it, but I guess it would take a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes. I hope it doesn't take longer. What it does now, the video file, I can show it to you. This is a BadApple file. You can play it here. So this is a original BadApple file which I downloaded from YouTube some time ago. I don't know. And this is converted to a Vectrex file which can be played on Vectrex. And this is what's running here in the background. A program called MPlayer. Does it say it somewhere here that it's called MPlayer? I can't see it right now. Anyway, this file MPlayer is actually a movie player, and you can actually play movies with it. It's like many other programs, but you can also extract data with it. And for this to work, it extracts every 30th second, I think, one image of the MP4 file you just seen. It does that into the directory, it creates PNG. And now we have here already 5,000 files. I know by heart now that this will be 6,557 files, I think. Then it has converted the complete movie. Here you can see the files it generates, and these PNG files are next converted using another utility here. Now the conversion starts. Well, it will take up to again 6,557, I said, didn't I? These files will be converted to PNM files. This is another image format. The thing is, the tool with which we do the image to vector conversion, which is Vectrex, does not accept PNG files. It only accepts a couple of file formats, but among others the PNM format. And yeah, well, this is actually what's happening now. A program suite called ImageMagick is used for that and called from the script file. While it's converting, I can tell you a little bit more about the script files. This actual batch file you called from start is little more than just some path settings, and then it executes a bash. You can see it here, it executes a bash actually. Because the original script was written under Linux using a shell, and I didn't want to look up all this stuff in PowerShell or whatever Windows uses. I'm not a Windows guy yet, really. So I'm just executing a born again shell and this convert script. And this is a script actually. It's a bash script. It sets again a few paths. The bash itself is based on Ming W64. The whole bash setup is done with the paths I gave it into the with the batch file here, and the bash actually lies in the bin directory bash win32. Here, the user bin, these are all the bash commands that I currently support with this distribution. You can certainly copy other bash commands within, but the script only uses the ones available here. So this script, the convert.sh, calls first what I said before, the mPlayer. Then it calls ImageMagick. After that, it will call Vectrex. Each time, the first one generates the 6,000 plus images. This one processes 6,000 plus images. This one processes 6,000 plus images and converts these images actually in coordinates in some JSON format coordinates lines, if you want to say so. After that, the audio file is converted from WAV to a file format which is basically raw data and PCM 8-bit data with 11,000 hertz approximately. After that, PHP shell script is invoked, combine PHP. This is more or less the original script that SpriteSmart wrote. I pimped it up a little bit so it takes some parameters. Because the original script you had to manual edit the file each time you converted a movie. For now, it's passed a couple of parameters: the start frame, the end frame, count, number of pictures, images actually, and which stage the combine script should execute, so to say, because the conversion is done in 2 stages. This one actually generates then the first vec bin file. So now we go on a little bit and switch to another area. For now, the actual Vectrex binary file, which is runnable on an original Vectrex, is created. This is BadApple.asm. This one is assembled actually with an assembler ASM 6809, and the player.bin file is created. So now we go over to a special Vectrex emulator, which I also created, which is also part of the actual package. The emulator is playing this player.bin file with the actual vec.bin file. This is not seen here because it's not a parameter. This vec.exe always loads this vec.bin file and plays it with this data it gets from the player bin. This is actually a stage which is not original apparent logical, but what it actually does is it times the movie and writes log information to a file, and with this timing log you see here, the actual sample data is well to say, later interleaved with the actual vec.bin file. This creates sync points for the audio, so the audio stays in sync with the movie. And after that, the final stage is done. It's again the combine.php file, which combines now the vec.bin file with a before created with audio.raw file. And then we have an about 10 megabyte Vectrex file, which can be played on Vide, on Vecstream, on Pytrex, and on the Vecfever as of now. Yeah, and this is a complete bash script. A little bit more to the assembled package. The bin directory within the movie gen contains all these binary, what shall we call it, directories, where I have installed all needed subprograms. As I said before, the bash, ImageMagick, MPlayer, PHP, Potrace, SOX, that is the audio conversion tool, the Vectrex, and the assembler. Within each directory, more or less, the binary distribution is only present. With this is ASM is only the assembler. The bash, you've seen it before, is a little directory structure so that the bash finds itself within the user bin directory, and it actually builds around this file system. It finds the etc directory and finds its profile and so on. ImageMagick, this was actually a zip download which I unpacked here, and you can probably throw away a couple of files and make the whole archive shorter, but this is actually the complete current ImageMagick install 8-bit for Windows 64 or Windows 10. MPlayer, likewise. This is a full current MPlayer for Windows 64 installation. Yes, and what you need is actually this mplayer.exe. Then PHP, this is the actual current PHP 8. I don't know, something version. I just installed it and unzipped it if you want, and included the .ini file and enabled the extensions that I needed. I think that were two. You can look in the ini file. All the extensions in DLL files are within the ext directory and come with a PHP distribution. Potrace is just another binary again, a Windows binary. SOX is also just more or less binary and these DLL files. And Vectrex, this is the source code more or less as was taken from Spritesmod's file. I actually had to compile it under Windows using MSys Mingves64 installation. This is what gave me the most trouble, this little Vectrex thing, because you had to find and install SDL libraries, and not SDL2, but the old SDL library, and then you had to find and install SDL graphics and SDL image and all these in the correct version. That took me actually quite a lot of time to find. Um, anyway, if you intend to build Vectrex yourself, um, I've not completed a development environment in this distribution. Then you have to download MSys yourself, install the development files. But within the Vectrex directory here, I have a directory called SDL. Within this SDL directory are these files that I just mentioned that I had a hard time to find, are actually all installed. Here, these are the SDL, SDL image, SDL, I don't find it here. Where is it? Here's SDL graphics. Don't know where it's. It's in the binary directory directly. Whatever. Anyway, the way this directory looks, it should work, and the make file is also correct to compile under the MSys MingV64 installation. There were a couple of things I added, like these two additional DLL library files for Windows. Otherwise, the linker does not find main and stuff like that no normal Mac or Linux user ever wants to know about. But anyway, this does work now. Let's look how far we've come. We are at the potrace stage, so it looks. So we are generating these .vec files, and the .vec files are actually these JSON files I mentioned. The first ones are empty because it's a black screen. More or less, it looks like this. These are just the screen coordinates as seen from the conversion program. There you see that the screen is, what is it? 480 times 360. This is a size of the virtual screen of the video, so to say. And later, more extensive JSON formatted files then look like this. These are then actually coordinate pairs for polygons that are later within the combine PHP file combined to Vectrex coordinates. So, what else is there to say? I've said nearly everything I actually wanted to say, and it's converting at stage 5000. So we need another couple of 1,500 JSON files, and after that it will start the combine PHP file, which then actually generates in this directory a vec.bin file, which includes binary data that was converted out of the just shown JSON files. And these vec.bin file is then read from the special vecx version when it receives, or what should I say, special commands. Actually, these special commands are illegal assembler instructions, and these vecx emulator finds these special instructions and interprets them as signals as to output something to the log file. You can see that since it's still converting like mad down there. Within the card.c file, I can show you here what's actually done here. I think I said something wrong. If it writes to position 0, 1, or 2, they're not illegal assembler instructions, but writes to position 0, or the first three Vectrex ROM locations. Then it actually outputs logging information, and Yes, that's it. And later, when the actual program, or when the actual program runs, or later at the same time actually, um, if it finds its instruction to reload the data from the bin file, it does it down here. Here you see it loads to card position 4000, 1.5K of information. I think it's 1K of vector information and 500 and so bytes for the sample data. And it does so always from vec.bin file. This is not parameters. There's no parameter for it. Perhaps one should do that, but anyway, within the script, it's not really necessary. So now the conversion to .bin file started. As you can see, this is about half the size. 500 MB is 5 MB is already created. The final bin file will be about 10 megabytes. So the conversion is already half done. The first time conversion, I must say. After the conversion is done, the script will start the emulator, as said before, and then we have to watch the whole movie within Vectrex. And during the show, it dumps these timing log sync informations for the wave. And yeah, well, after that, it generates another vec bin with interleaved raw data, which you can see here. This is a raw audio data. Yes, I would think it should start so we have something to watch. There it goes. I had to click on my virus scanner here again because this is a very suspicious virus detection program. But as said, I assure you this is not the case. Anyway, what you just heard is yeah, well, certainly not the wave file. This is some raw data, it seems, that is left within uninitialized memory, probably of the Vectrex or something like that. It's trying to play audio and it cannot. But the audio data is not really loaded with this file. It's not within the vec.bin file. So this is also automated. The original version of the Vectrex that SpritesMod made available. You had to press escape at some stage to actually terminate the emulator. Within here, I just, when the movie is finished playing, it will stop, and thus it automatically continues the script then afterwards. So theoretically, if everything is working all right and you don't have to remind your virus scanner that it's not a dangerous file, you can leave the conversion completely alone, and after it's done, well, it's done. Anyway, it's not so such a fun thing to convert BadApple over and over again. Actually, I wanted to create or test out some other movie creations. I didn't do it yet, but this whole setup, actually, you just have to call the convert batch file with another MP4 file, and it will convert it. The thing is, BadApple, as you saw in the original movie file, which I showed you before, it's predestined to be converted to vectors. Not many actual MP4 movie clips are going to be able to be convertible easily. One has to look for them and try them out. If perhaps even some calling parameters to the POV trace must be changed. You can do that in the batch file. Here you see the POV trace. These are called with parameters. You have to look them up what they are used for, but you can influence the actual conversion with these parameters. I don't know them by heart anymore. I used to, but it's a long time ago that I did that, and you just have to test them out. Also, what I did not yet do is I created a special combine PHP file on my Macintosh to use not only PoTrace but also to use AutoTrace, which in some instances does a better or different job of conversion, which also looks good and sometimes even better. The thing is, it does not output in JSON format. This one outputs in SVG format, and you have to more or less completely rewrite the combine script file, which I already did, but it lies on my Macintosh and I haven't got it available here, so I did not convert it yet. Perhaps I will convert it and make it also available so you can use AutoTrace. But as of now, this only uses POVTrace. It's actually the same POVTrace that is available within Vide when you do your image to vector conversion within the vector drawing program. So now the final stage, the Vectrex script says, this is again calling the combine PHP file with stage 2, which, well, does exactly the same thing as before. And additionally, it uses a generated timing log to include the sample data. This timing log, as you see, is quite huge. It's nearly 30 megabytes, and it just consists of debug information. Debug ones and debug zeros, and I actually I don't know if both of them are used. I have to look it up, but these stray other lines here are also debugging information, but they do not disturb the combined script. It actually only looks for debug 1 and debug 2 and uses the data found after that. So, since we are nearly done now, I want to show you how you can verify that this file is actually working without having a Vecstream, Vecfiber, or Pytrax ready at hand or needing to copy all these things over. You can do that by using Vide. And we are now in the directory TT movie again. So what I'm doing now, Vide has to know about these things, what kind of cartridge it is. And it does not know by heart that this player.bin is actually a Vecstream cartridge which wants to load some other data. So what you have to do to actually try this out, you have to create, with a cartridge editor, a cartridge within Vide, a so-called cartridge. What you do with that is you open the editor, new, name it somehow, player, keyboard, player. So card name is this, and here you have to switch on Extreme Multi. Then you see this thing is enabled, and here you enter your vec.bin file. As you can see in the background, this conversion has finished. What I'm doing now is I'm going to the TT directory, move again, and here you have this vec.bin. This is a file that is to be loaded from the player.bin. And the player.bin file must be entered here for the actual binary T, move again, player. And now we save it, and it's called ++player, save it. And to actually start it, we use a starter, find this thing, and if you now double click, it should be playable in Vide. One other thing you have to do, but this is emulation related, you have to switch off auto sync. because the thing does not use Vide recall as I remember, and if the emulator per default does not find the Vide recall, then it does not know where to sync. Yeah, well, actually this is a BadApple we just created. I thank you, and I hope your ears do not hurt, but my mouth certainly does, and therefore I say goodbye, have fun, ciao.